Good morning, Carrie.
Good morning, Hannah. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm very excited to talk about this, as I'm sure you know.
I know, me too. I love this topic. I really do. So
Yeah,
it's going to be exciting.
yeah, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, before we jump into it too much, give people a few minutes to join here. Um, as I'm sure some of our watchers or people who have been with Key Media know that we love dashboard reporting, and it's something that we just provide for our clients. So I felt very passionately about it my last few years here. It's been kind of a passion project for me. So to see where our reporting has transformed has been really cool. So
Yeah, it's been fun to watch too. Just like all the
yeah,
different things you can do and really putting the numbers to paper
yeah,
and explaining it and getting clients to understand what it all means. It's pretty exciting to see you guys do all that too.
yeah. So yeah, but before we start, I suppose some introductions are due, but I'm Hannah Wilson, the Ad Ops Manager here at KMS. Um, and then here we have Carrie with us.
Yeah, and I'm the account manager here at Key Media Solutions. And thanks again for joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking about reports, like Hannah just talked about, which is very exciting, and how to turn your metrics into stories that actually get exciting, get the clients excited about what we're looking at. So,
Yeah, yeah. Um, Data is really powerful. It's proof when something is working or not working.
right.
Um, but you know, if your data is just kind of floating around out there and not really telling a story, it's kind of useless unless you can kind of make those numbers mean something to the client.
Exactly. Instead of looking at a chart, it's like, what are we actually looking at? And getting clients like super excited about everything. So,
Yeah. Um, yeah, what are kind of why do you think storytelling in report matters so much, Carrie? Especially from the client's perspective. I think you can give some really good insight on that.
yeah, if you're just looking at a chart, I mean, a click-through rate, or anything like that, or what are these spikes? What do these mean? It can get very confusing, and clients like ours, they receive so much data, and we just really need to cut through the noise and really make a story on what all of these items mean.
Mhm.
So, storytelling helps our clients really understand their performance trends, like what does a click-through rate mean, like what does this all mean, how is it helping my company, and how is it helping us get to our goals. It also really helps them see the impact that our team is making. So if click-through rate has gone down or something like that, like what are we doing to help improve it, and putting that into the story, or the narrative that we write every month is really to help them see how hard we are working on the campaign, and also just overall to help us make informed decision for those future campaigns and where we see ourselves going, and
Mhm.
trends that are changing, especially in their business or that line of work. So it's
Right.
super important to tell a story and figure all of this out together as a team, client and us as an agency.
Yeah,
um
and I think it's funny too that you mentioned that, Carrie, that the client sees maybe some red and some green, and they're like,
right.
"What does that mean?" Because not all red is bad and not all green is good in some areas, depending what your goal is. So, yeah,
Exactly. And giving them
yeah,
a reason why, or like, actually red is good in this certain area,
yeah,
and we want to see green here and red here,
yeah,
just to make things even out. So it's a
yep,
huge, huge thing. Um, just like a quick analogy, I guess you could say, it's like
yeah,
narrating a movie, the data that we see on the screen, those are the scenes. And our job is to tie them into the plot that the client actually cares about. They
yeah,
might not care about this number, but what does it
yeah.
mean to them?
It's like
So,
there's a whole bunch of characters floating around, and they're like, "What is the plot of this movie?"
I know, what does this
Yeah,
mean? What am I
yeah.
looking at?
I don't know
Yeah,
what's going on here. What am I
exactly.
looking at? What story do I need to be reading? I think that's what
Exactly.
they're looking for.
Yep, you
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, so like Carrie said, it's more about getting them there. So as you know, every client could have a different finish line in mind, right? What's their goal? What's their objective? For some, it might be sales. For others, it might be more awareness about the brand. Those are kind of two wide ends of the spectrum, but there's a lot of different goals in between. Um, my point is, your metrics are going to vary quite a bit depending on those goals and the story that you're trying to tell. So our job is to connect those dots and give them the data they know that they need to get to that goal. The first tip is always tie the metrics back to the goal, of course. So for example, if we're talking a sales goal, I typically call them vanity metrics, right? So your clicks and your impressions, those don't really tell us much. They can give us a very, very small insight into what's actually going on. But I still do recommend reporting clicks. With that, then adding in maybe some more site traffic, showing a visual of how much site traffic has increased from that traffic. Then, in addition, how many form fills and what's the percentage increase on those form fills from, again, those clicks. So it just really tells a better story. And you can't just rely on the vanity metrics that the platform tells you. We do that by combining the platform metrics in with our website metrics, and we're able to tell that better story. Some other visuals that are always helpful, I think, for sales goals are going to be any type of time series charts so that you can really spot those trends and those spikes. And with that, you can apply some year over year comparisons. Especially if your business sees some seasonality, it is really helpful to have those year over year trends to kind of point back to, okay, you're seeing a spike this month. That's pretty on trend, but next month we could expect this decrease based off last year. Um, Things like that again can kind of help guide that story, give a little bit more insight into that data that you're seeing.
Yes, and that's very appreciated by all of our clients. I know that from being in many meetings. So
Yeah. Yeah. The other one, awareness. I think people usually think the straightforward answer is impressions, but again, those are very vanity. Some deeper insight that should be included when you're considering awareness is website traffic increase, especially on new users. You want to look at who's new coming to the website, how they hear about us. So looking at your traffic channels, not all awareness traffic can be directly attributed depending on your campaign. For example, if you're running a CTV campaign, they might have just pulled it up on their laptop quick, 2 days later when they thought about it. So it might not always be a clear direct attribution depending how your reporting is set up. So still attributing other channel traffic to your awareness can be helpful in telling that story. And then some also deeper research you can do, such as brand lift surveys or incremental reach reports, can be very helpful for data visualization and telling that story. I feel like I'm already backing up on time because I can chatter about these all day, but
I know there's so much.
some other hot tips that we always include with in the reporting is industry benchmarks. We actually just place those as static text next to our metrics so that clients can always see how it stacks up against the industry average. It's really helpful when you can say things like, your click-through rate is 3 times the industry average, often pointing to much more qualified leads on the website. So just data like that can be really helpful with that visual, not only for the client, but then for you as marketers to tell that story. And really everything should point back to, why does this matter to the business? Why would this matter to the client? And with that, that's kind of where we get into our narratives, and we write those insights. We try to highlight the wins, the challenges, and the recommendations based off those insights. Again, we use in Looker Studio is what we use at KMS, but we write a summary just about what we're seeing in the report itself, and clear actionable steps for the client and for our team.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really kind of in a really quick, rattled way, some of the top level ways of how we really visualize that data, and turn, all the numerous platform data into numbers that talk, essentially, and become more persuasive and memorable moments.
Exactly. I appreciate all that insight too, because like
Yeah.
Hannah said, there is so much you can get into with this topic. I mean,
Yeah.
what all do we include? Everything like that.
Yeah.
But just making sure, like Hannah has already said, I don't want to go too much into it, but using consistent visuals and, really showing just the detail to
Yeah.
like, what does the client want? What's the
Mhm.
client's interest and knowledge level, and how deep do you go into each metric versus just telling a story and letting them know, like, this is what this means, because it does get pretty intense and there's a lot of
Right.
different information that we could get into.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like Hannah said, I just want to point it out again, just quickly, just the Looker Studio has been just an amazing tool for us here and for our clients. It really puts things out clear. All the data, all the graphs are so clear. Just
Mhm.
keeps things consistent throughout the report.
Yeah.
And whether you're talking to the creative team or if you're talking to the business team, you can really focus your dashboard on those clients.
You can.
And that's just huge, and I feel like our clients really appreciate that.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's always really helpful to know who, like, your audience is viewing the
Right.
report. So, yeah, like Carrie mentioned, if it needs to have maybe a key, a glossary, or certain things that are tailored to your client, certain annotations, Looker is just amazing for that. I love it.
I
So,
know. I've kind of started to nerd out just like Hannah has over the years, so
yeah,
it's awesome.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Hannah. I really appreciate all of your insight. You are amazing with all of these things.
Thank
So
you, Carrie.
just to wrap up though, like reports are more than numbers, like we've talked about. We
Yeah,
need to make sure we're telling stories of success, the challenges that we dealt with, and opportunities for the future. And
yeah.
really start framing your metrics around goals and using visuals that resonate and tell those stories that will stick in the client's head.
Yep.
It's huge.
Yep, absolutely, and thank you, Carrie. You guys are always excellent at translating those stories for us, as well, and it's just always helpful when we can all have a tangible, results to walk away with. So that is
Yes.
why we love data.
Yes. We love data and working
Yeah,
together. It's beautiful.
yeah.
So,
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. I look forward to seeing everybody at the next 10 at 10 next week. And if you have any more questions about reporting or Looker, that you want us to dig into more in depth in the next 10 at 10, we're happy to do that. So just feel free to leave a comment or send us a message. Um, Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week.
awesome. Thank you, Hannah. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.